True to the legend of Rip Van Winkle, snooze and you lose in a BASS Top 100 tournament. In a 4-day competition like the New York Top 100 on the Hudson River, adjustment is key to a winning game plan. Jim Bitter, like the fictitious Rip, woke up, and it's a wake-up call that has everyone's attention at the Day 3 weigh-in.
Look at this, folks. 16 pounds, 3 ounces. Hold up a couple of fish, would you? Man. Jim won the Top 100 tournament at Minnesota earlier. Blew them all away, and he's threatened to do it here again. We followed you the first morning. You looked like you were just on a little fish pattern, just going through a bunch of little fish. And today, one of the best strings of the tournament, not the biggest string.
Well, I wanted to start out catching some small fish and catch them fast. I had this other little place, but I thought somebody'd be on it anyway because I got not a real good draw the first day, so I went for those little fish and they didn't pan out. I went down here late to the spot I'm at now, and I caught a couple and run out of time. And then yesterday, I again tried to catch a small limit quick, and it didn't work out, so I went back in the same spot, and I caught a real good limit. And today, I just decided to forego the little limit and go after the big ones, and I just sat in there all day and did real well.
That's an understatement. But Jim Bitter's well on his way to winning another $45,000. He jumps from 7th place into the lead with 35 pounds, 14 ounces. Jeff Fletcher in second is 2 pounds, 3 ounces behind with 33 pounds, 11 ounces. Danny Correa, Randy Blockett, and Randall Romig round out the Day 3 leaderboard.
Jim Bitter is fishing in a boat basin area. This is actually a boat storage basin. It's a pocket just off of Saugerties Creek, about 300 yards from the Hudson River channel. It's the Saugerties Powerboat Association here. He says it's the only spot he has, and he's planning on staying here all day. However, conditions today are completely different than yesterday. By this time yesterday, it's about 8:30 in the morning now. Jim Bitter had his limit already. This morning, it's about 15 degrees cooler than it was yesterday morning. Cold front has moved through. Yesterday it was cloudy, threatening rain. Today it's partly cloudy. The skies are expected to clear through the day. The wind is up around 15 miles an hour, and the tide is 1 hour later going out this morning. So while Jim Bitter doesn't feel that the tide is affecting his fish that much, conditions are completely different.
There's just a little hump in here. It's about 2 foot high, ridge down through the middle there. And it's got milfoil on it. Most of it, high tide, is about 9, 11 foot deep, and the fish are like up on, right on the edge of that milfoil, just like Minnetonka.
Jim Bitter's lure selection and approach to fishing grass includes 3 basic baits: a Carolina rigged lizard, Riverside's Bigfoot, a 2/0 hook, a 1/2 ounce sliding sinker on 20-pound monofilament with a 2.5 foot leader of 12-pound test, the 1 ounce Strike King Pro Model spinnerbait, a heavy tandem-bladed lure, but the size is needed for bottom bumping. And a crankbait. The Rebel Deep We Are on retrieve has a wide wobble.
Well, that's what I've been doing. I just get tired of throwing one thing that's not producing. I kind of make a circle of this little flat and with one bait, and then I pick up another bait and go around.
One thing you'll notice very quickly in watching professional tournament anglers is their persistence. Jim Bitter has stayed in this Saugerties Powerboat Association basin all day. He's been back and forth across a very small area. In fact, he's had one key spot in this area that has produced most of his fish. And yet all day he's been back and forth, rotating between Carolina rigged lizard, crankbait, and a spinnerbait, putting one down, picking another one up just to make a change, trying to get the fish to hit.
Short.
Persistence is one of the keys in successful tournament angling.
I'm fishing a Carolina rig in this milfoil, and in order to make it come through a little bit easier, I scaled down on the sinker size. I'm using a 1/2 ounce, and basically I'm just fishing the perimeter of it where it's real thin, and just working it real slow, and sometimes it rides up on the stems and falls back down. And it's real effective for vegetation like this, especially around the perimeter where it's thinner. These fish seem to be glued to the bottom, and if that bait comes up off the bottom, you just don't get bit. So while you're retrieving the lure, if you think it's leaving the bottom too far, just stop it and leave it drop back to the bottom and then continue to retrieve again. That's a key to fishing any kind of vegetation, is not to hang your lure up on it, because that tends to spook the fish. You just want it to move through it and just kind of bounce off of it a little bit.
At 53, one of the senior members of the BASS Tournament Trail, Jim Bitter may work a bit slower and more methodically, but his approach wins tournaments. The final standings: a winning weight of 43 pounds 11 ounces and back-to-back top 100 wins for Jim Bitter. Another old pro, Randall Romig, ranks second with 38 pounds 9 ounces, followed by Randy Blockett, Denny Brower, and Mark Harden, the 1995 Classic runner-up in 5th place. Other top finishers include Jeff Fletcher in 6th, Kevin Van Dam, Danny Correa, Doug Garrett, and Chet Dawson. In the amateur division, Al Gagliarducci, a Massachusetts Bassmaster, wins the $20,000 Ranger Bass Rig, despite not weighing a 12-inch keeper bass in the final round. Right now, it's time for the Pros Pointer, the how-to section of the Bassmasters. Brought to you by Wrangler Rugged Wear, geared for the outdoors.
I try to make a pretty long cast when I'm Carolina rigging, because I want to keep it on the bottom, and the farther you are away from that lure, the easier it is to keep it down on the bottom. If you're real close, you're tending to pull it up off the bottom all the time. And I think the main thrust of the Carolina rig is that weight is dragging on the bottom and causing some commotion. The fish see the lizard falling behind, and that attracts them. And as you take up the slack, keep your line tight, because a lot of times those fish just suck that lizard in real softly, and you really have a hard time detecting it. So just drag it along until you either feel him bump it and set the hook immediately, or if you feel that dead weight on there, set the hook immediately. But the prime thing is to drag that sinker on the bottom all the time, and don't make it hop off the bottom. That's not the technique you use in Carolina rigging.
Well, that's the story of legendary Jim Bitter's New York Top 100 victory. Old pros don't grow old. In bass fishing, it's called experience. Next week, our Bassmasters cameras follow the tournament trail to Pine Bluff, Arkansas for an important Bassmasters Central Division Invitational. The pros tackle the Arkansas River. Hope you'll join us for more tips and tactics. For the Bassmasters, I'm Bob Cobb. We'll see you all next week.
The Bassmasters has been brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Kelly Tires, where you get a good deal on a great tire. Jersey's Activewear, the official licensed knit apparel of the Bass Angler Sportsman Society. Catch all the action of the World Championship Bassmasters Classic, September 27th and 28th, 1997. A special one-hour airing of the Bassmasters, right here on TNN Outdoors.